The 40 million black people in America are the role models for 1.8 billion black people in the world. When we say something's cool, it's cool in Tibet. When we say something's a dud, it's a dud in North Korea. We have mastered culture, community, and cool and creativity, yes or no? So now all we have to do is switch, become bilingual, and master capitalism, commerce, and a new community. Don't go from rocking the mic to owning it. So I want you just to shift your brain. In other words, you are the capital. You already have what you need. When you walk in a room, you are unique. Everybody wants to be you, except they don't want to be black.
White people or the system, white Americans, Europeans, they are doing what they love from black people, but they hate the people.
Member of the Caucasian persuasion, I can answer that question for you. It's really simple. They hate you, but they want to be in your spaces because they hate themselves even more. They hate the fact that they need happy people around them because otherwise they know exactly how miserable their lives would be without you.
Because racist white America cannot stand to see a black man really free, full of the power of God, with a creative mind at work, with a helpmeet by his side, working to develop creative ideas for the advancement of his family and his people.
For example, you get them wearing the black hairstyles, but banned them in schools. They dance to the beats of black people, but they fear the voice of black people. They mimic slangs of black people, but jail black people for speaking freely. They praise the culture while punishing the existence of black people. Okay? The world fell in love with our rhythm as black people, but wanted nothing to do with us, whether black Americans, Caribbeans, or Africans. Now, Grand Rising family, welcome back to my YouTube commentary. I thank you so much for tuning in today. I love you. I honor you. Please make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel. We reach 100K subscribers. That is my prayer. We move on together, okay? Now, before we continue with this video, I want you to watch these clips first here. And please make sure you subscribe on this YouTube channel. Watch this clip and I'll come back with more commentary.
Let's talk about the problem of digital blackface, because it's a real fucking problem. And what I mean by this are white men in particular who create alt burner accounts in order to impersonate a black person or just a person of color, generally speaking. There are 3 reasons they do this. The first one is that they want some more credibility for their racism. They know that if they get on there showing their white face, that they're gonna be immediately called out because it's racist. But if they pretend to be a black person, they can get away with it. The second reason that they do this is for the exact reason that minstrel shows were popular. They pretend to be a black person because they want to spam the N-word or they want to enact these racial stereotypes about black people. It gives them a sense of joy to be able to impersonate this caricature of a black person that they have created and that has historically been perpetuated by white media. And it's really disgusting and fucking weird. And the third reason is that white people do not have culture. The act of white men choosing to impersonate a person of color in their free time proves that there is deep-rooted white resentment in regards to us not having a culture or community. White person who does this, fucking stop. It's weird. Okay, bye.
So yes, I was instantly infatuated and fascinated with black people because I believe that they were God's favorite. God spent a little bit more time creating them and put a little bit more love into creating them. So yes, I believed they were the superior race, and going forward in life with that mentality, I just always loved black people. I always wanted to be around them. I always just thought they were the coolest people. And I was fortunate enough to grow up in a fairly diverse area. So I had many Black friends. Most of my friends were Black or people of color. And I was very quickly exposed to Black music and Black talent. Something that my mom really instilled in me was that racist white people were jealous of Black people because they were so multifaceted and multi-talented. They could sing, they could dance, they can act, they could, make a house a home, they can cook, they can clean. Like, there's literally nothing that Black people can't do. Like, they are multifaceted, they are multi-talented. And it made sense to me as a little kid that, that was what racism was. It was jealousy. Let's be real. Racism 100% stems from jealousy and envy. And I think people who are racist usually have an insecurity within themselves that they have to spew this hatred onto other people, because it just doesn't really make sense. Racism doesn't make sense in my eyes.
You really need creative people at the top because they are the entrepreneurial types, and those people are super hyper valuable and they're very rare. But it's also very difficult to nurse them within any system because systems do not nurture creativity. They're the antithesis of creativity. Because the artist is always the person who stands outside the structure. And so, or maybe builds his or her own structure, which is also why it's hard to evaluate creative people. You can't, really, because if they're operating within the confines of a system that has an evaluative structure, they're not creative. They're a real pain to try to manage and to organize. But you can select them. You select people who are high in intelligence and high in openness.
Why do white people hate Black people so much? I've been surrounded by nothing but white people. Race conversation has come up, and no one ever has an actual reason. There's always these, Black on Black crime. Oh, they're lazy. Oh, they're this. It's a deep-seated jealousy, a deep-seated hate that Black people exude greatness. Black people are the great inventors. Black people are the beginning of the human race. The white race has actually erased the original inventor from history and have put their names on things that they had no business putting their names on.
When I tell y'all America hates Black people, America hates Black people. So I told y'all I read this book a while back, The 1619 Project by Nicole Hannah-Jones and several other authors. But I'm an audible learner. So typically, if I'm going to read something for entertainment, I will read a book. But if I'm trying to learn something, it's better for me to listen to it. I just finished listening to the 1619 Project. I have been listening to it while I've been out in the garden. That's just my thing. I listen to that, whatever. And reading it was one thing, but hearing it is completely different. And when I tell y'all, America hates Black people. And for America to have derived so much benefit from Black Americans, you would think that, hey, we should probably thank the people who built our industries and created culture, and they cultivated the land because we were unable to do that. But no, America hates Black people, and it is obvious. It is obvious in policy and politics. It is obvious in healthcare and medicine and DEI. It is obvious because, diversity, equity, inclusion, people think, it's so that Black people can get jobs. No, that was for white women. Like, every advancement where Black people have fought, other people have derived the benefit of the actions of the Black people. Civil rights, other minority groups derived more benefit from that. Affirmative action, Asian Americans, other marginalized groups received more benefit from that than we did. Like, when I say America hates Black people, it's not hyperbole. It is not, I'm not just stating that. Every atrocity that has been committed on American soil has been atoned for, with the exception of slavery. Everyone. Native Americans. Now, America lied and broke damn near every treaty that they made with the Native Americans. But even culturally, one of the things that they talk about in the 1619 Project is how even Native Americans identified that there was a difference in the way that Black people were treated. And so they didn't want to be treated like the Black people. So they made treaties with the white man. Native Americans, who were literally being slaughtered, were able to identify the difference in the way that they were treated versus the way that Black people were treated. So America made atonement for that. Now, that did not mean that millions and millions of Native Americans were not slaughtered, that their land was not stolen, because it was. And America still pays for that. Chinese Americans who came over to build the railroad system to export all of the goods that the enslaved Africans were cultivating, Chinese Americans received compensation, because it was an atrocity. The working conditions, the lives lost, it was horrific. And they should have received compensation. They should have received something from the government that perpetuated the harm. Japanese Americans who were placed in internment camps received compensation decades later, but they did. America paid. Now, black people have been on this land since 1619. Before the founding of the United States of America, before the colonies, before Reconstruction, before civil rights, black people have been here working, cultivating, creating. Black people have been here, and America hates black people. We barely get an honorable mention during Black History Month. People want to attack, DEI, yeah, it's DEI. Black people aren't the beneficiaries of DEI, not the main ones. We're like 8th or 9th on the list. White women are number 1. And then other marginalized groups, because again, every group benefits. The reason that white women got the right to vote is not because of white women, it's because of black women creating community, building, galvanizing support. Like, and then there's this thing where, and I said this before, I said this in another video, a video I did about Adriana Smith. If you haven't seen it and you are a white woman, just go to my page and watch it. But I said that white women will often align themselves to the patriarchy for adjacency purposes, because for a lot of white women, adjacency means protection. And I also said that women, you always have a place, but you will never have a seat. The patriarchy was not built for you. You are not the beneficiary of the patriarchy. You are only as good as your womb is able to produce. That's what the patriarchy is set up for. That's what it was designed for. This country hates black people. And for all of our greatness and ingenuity and creativity and culture, all of the things that this country benefits from because of black people, we can't even get acknowledgement. All of the inventions that were stolen and listed in our master's name, all of the things that we still enjoy, we're still having online debates about whether or not Beyonce, why did she enter into country music? As if black people did not create it, along with rock and roll. Yo, I will end this by saying what I told my son a few years ago when he came home to tell me about the continents that he was studying, and he said that Africa is where the slaves came from. And I was livid. I was so upset. And I told him, Africa is not where the slaves came from. Africa is where the philosophers and scientists and aristocrats and theologians, Africa is where greatness was stolen and enslaved. Slaves didn't come from Africa. We had kings and queens that were enslaved from Africa. And with all of the movement that is going on in the motherland, I think Africa is saying something. And African Americans should be paying attention.
I'm a person who don't give a fuck how white people view us. Mm-hmm. And I hate when people say like, oh, this is going to make us look so bad. This is why they look at us like this. I grew up watching videos of civil rights activists in suits and ties and dresses get hosed down and dogs sicked on them. I don't give a fuck about, white people don't give a fuck about how we act, how we look, how professional, how educated. Black is black. And you could fall for the whole acting like this is why white people don't respect us bullshit if you want to. That shit don't matter. Now, it's degenerates in every culture. You know what I'm saying? Asians, whites, they got the white fucking meth heads. They got the Asian, whatever the fuck they be doing. The drunken monkey Asian niggas, I don't fucking know. They got Mexican.
Fuck around is racist.
Ain't no race or culture out here doing good enough to be just looking down on us. Every culture and race could look in the motherfucking mirror if they got something to say about anything we got.
Now, family, there is a bitter truth that black people across the globe feel in their bones right now. The world loves what black people create, but rarely love black people themselves. And I went ahead asking myself, why is this happening like this? Why does our music unite nations, yet our pain is ignored? Why are black athletes or black athletes worshipped on the court, yet racially profiled outside the stadium? Why does the world imitate us online, but discriminate against us offline? Why? Why did they copy our braids? Why did they copy our lips? Why are they copying our slang, our rhythm, our fashion, our medicine? You know, but they have never respected black people. And this is not imagination. I'm not imagining things. I'm not being victim. It's not about victimhood, but this is historic pattern repeating itself. It is historic pattern verified by centuries of evidence. As the African-American writer James Baldwin said, to be black in America is to be in a constant stage of rage, because you are born into a society that refuses to see you. And this rage is not anger. It is awareness. Okay? Now, whether you are in America dealing with police brutality or police profiling, or you are in France dealing with racial assimilation, or whether you are in Africa, whether you are in Brazil fighting anti-black colorism, you know, in South Africa resisting economic colonization, whether you are in Kenya, Nigeria dealing with Western-funded media attacks, you will see just one pattern. Black culture is accepted, yes, but humanity, it is rejected. And we must decode that as black people. Now, let's talk about the philosophy behind it. Europe never hated African culture. Europe feared African people. They admired African wealth, and that's why they invaded it. Okay? They admired African gold, and that's why they stole it. They admired African knowledge. That's why they banned our libraries and they tried to erase our scholars from it. They rewrote this one. Okay? I could refer to Dr. John Henry Clark. He said this: power answers only to power. So they did not destroy Africa because it lacked power, but they attacked Africa because Africa had too much of power. Okay? Now, stop the lie that Africa was primitive. Stop that lie first. Because Africa was not primitive. Africa built Timbuktu, and this was the center of world scholarship. Africa built Great Zimbabwe. Africa built Kemet, which is now called Egypt, and this was the home of mathematics, home of Europeans, not Europeans, home of astronomy, and home of medicine. Africa built Ethiopia, and Ethiopia defeated colonizer, maintained sovereignty. Africa is home of Congo. Congo is where you could find advanced governance before European came to contact with, you know. So Western historian, even they admitted it. I have one of these historian called Basil Davidson admitted, and he said that Africa was not a continent without history. It was a continent whose history was deliberately ignored. Let us not forget that Africa is home of creatures, is the home of the first human. That means even the white people came from black people. Whenever a white man gets tested, you will find the traces of blackness, black melanin, or black something inside white people. Now, let me say this. Europeans admired our science. It is very, very evident. They admired it, then claimed it. They admired our culture, and then they branded it. They admired our spirituality and our strength, and then enslaved us to benefit from it. They did not erase Africa because Africa was weak. They erased Africa because Africa was so much powerful. Okay? When they stole our ancestors, when they enslaved our brothers and sisters, when they took our people away across the ocean, they stole names. They stole drums, dignity. They stole autonomy, memory, religion, songs, and etc., etc. They stripped identity to control the body, yet even in bondage, black people still created culture. Black American created culture. Okay? They created spirituals. They created blues. They created work chants. They created souls. They created black churches. Okay? Suffering was turned into sound and pain was turned into praise by our black ancestors. Chains was turned into rhythm. There is this one great thinker, Zora Neale Hurston, once said that we are the people who survived the Middle Passage. The most powerful sentence in black history. We survived what was meant to destroy us. And that's why even our black joy still pains them. Our black joy is a threat to them. Our black joy still feels like a threat. Because what is meant to destroy us is what is making us stronger. We built Black Wall Street, they destroyed it. But right now, black businesses is booming. See what's happening right now in Tanzania, for example. They are threatening the citizens of Tanzania. But those threats are making Tanzanians stronger every day. Just for example, when you have a child and you keep on caning him, whenever he went wrong or he does something wrong, at the end of the day, you are just hardening this baby. You are just hardening him. So he will go ahead, do a lot of things, bad things, and because he's just, he doesn't fear the canes anymore, there's nothing you can do. Okay? Now, back to this one. Black people invented culture as a survival. Black people did not invent culture to entertain. Okay? But we invented culture to stay alive. We sang, or our ancestors, our enslaved ancestors, sang coded escape routes. They do drumming just to maintain memory. They danced to preserve identity. They fashioned to reclaim dignity. So black culture is not entertainment. Black culture, it is ancestral technology of survival. You get that? Enslavers burned drums for a reason, because the drum was communication. The drum was unity. The drum was power. Back then in our village, when there's an event, maybe someone has died or there's a ceremony somewhere, you could hear drums from far and you could know that drum. Maybe someone is getting circumcised. You know, in the Bukusu community, when they circumcise someone, they beat some drums. Or there's a Luya community called Maragoli. When you hear some drums, you know this is for Tiriki, this one is for Maragoli. When someone has died, you could hear drums. You know, so drums in African community speaks volumes. Okay? And because the drum was used as communication, the drum was used for unity, and the drum was power. So black people turned their bodies into drums, and you could see them. They created rhythm without instruments, or we created spiritual that sounded like worship, but they were freedom maps. Okay? And after that, later we gave the world as black people. We gave the world gospel. We gave them jazz. We gave them blues, reggae, funk. We gave them Afrobeats. We gave them R&B. We gave them samba music. We gave them capoeira music, trap, drill. Name them, reggae, Afro spiritual chants. You know, black people created every major rhythm you can hear today. Every major rhythm that moves the earth today was created by black people. But the systems rewarded our imitators more than us. They copy-paste. They were rewarded. Now, one Malcolm X said that the most disrespected person in America is the black woman. The most unprotected person in America is the black woman. And the most neglected person in America is a black woman. Yet black women invented modern style. Black women created beauty trends. Now it's being worn globally. When you look at the front magazine, you could see them wearing them. So I could proudly say we built the culture, we built the industry, we lifted the world spirit, and they lifted our creation and left us out. I'm talking on the shoes of black Americans. The shoes of black Americans. Now, something that is not new is that slavery was economic exploitation. Okay? Colonialism was a resource exploitation. This is what happened in Africa. But modern pop culture is creativity exploitation. So today colonization doesn't use chains. Right now in Africa, they don't use chains anymore. They use the loans, IMF. They use contracts. They use algorithm. They use media. You know, so today colonization use cultural appropriation disguised as inspiration. And Marcus Garvey said it and warned us. He said that always present the world with your identity and never allow anyone to control your narrative. And right now, when they use media, they are controlling our narrative. And that's why we are trying every day to create our own narrative. That's why you're seeing African content creators are coming up. Someone like Wodemaya is up trying to rewrite or trying to write our own narrative. The time has come. People are waking up. We have a lot of YouTube channels in Kenya. We are trying to write our own narrative. So we are not here to attack anyone. No. All the content creators are here just to love ourselves loudly. All black people are here just to love ourselves loudly. We don't rise by tearing others down. That is the motto of black people. We rise by lifting our own people. Okay? Now, black people have laid the foundation of a lot of things. And we have evidence. I know maybe when you talk without evidence, without receipts, they will say maybe you are trying to victimize yourself or anything else. Because when you speak about culture theft, when you talk about extraction of black genius paired with rejection of black humanity, we are not making emotional claims. No. We are opening archives. We have archives, we have history. And this is not bitterness. This is I'll say what? Let me call it bibliography. Okay? Because they have been loving our strength on plantations. They loved it. But they lynched black people and black Americans when they asked for freedom. They loved voices in the field, but banned literacy for the enslaved minds. They loved gospel tones of black people, but banned them from churches. They loved the rhythm of black people, but they criminalized the drum. They loved the musicians, but barred them from hotels and restaurants where they were performing. What will he say about that? They fear. It is fear. They admire our glow, but disrespected the source. It is fear. Let me break down here. Black people created African music, or American music to be precise. Black people created American music. That's full stop. Okay? not sometimes, not partially, but fully, they created American music, starting from jazz. It is black genius, blues, black pain, made the poetry. When you go to rock and roll, black invention like Sister Rosetta Thape and Chuck Berry, they created some of that music. When you go to gospel, it came from African spiritual resilience. When you go to hip hop, it is the voice of the oppressed echoing globally. R&B is a black soul. Reggae is an African heartbeat in the Caribbean. Afrobeat is an African's drum reclaiming the world. But what happened? What happened? Whyte executive owned the recording studios. Whyte promoters owned the stage. Whyte record labels owned the masters. Whyte media controlled the narrative. So black people are not getting anything from this creativity because artists are black people. They are singing the songs. They are writing the lyrics. They are giving the rhythms. They're scraping the soul. But white imitators are copying the sound. White imitators are becoming legends. White imitators are cleaning it up for white audiences. This is not accusation, let me tell you. This is American music history. Great thinker Ray Charles said, the music was ours before anybody else. And that is true. That is true. There's a quote saying that they didn't want me to be famous. I created rock and roll, and they took it and gave it to someone else. This is from Little Richard. He said it with near tears. Okay? Each and every music. When you look at jazz is a mathematics in motion. Black intellectual expressed through sound, you know, and yet they played it. They played in clubs. They could not enter through in front doors. They created the music. Others created the business. Guess who profited? You know, I'll say this. As I started and I said, they want our brilliance, but they don't want us. That's how it is. Okay? Even when you look at fashion, when black women wore braids in America, they were called unprofessionals. When they wore the cornrows, they were called ghetto. But today, fashion magazines call braids Bosho twist. Runway shows, runway show converse on white models and call them edgy urban chic. Braids is being renamed. There's no credit given. There's no context. There's no respect. Same with the street fashion. The baggy clothes, hoodies, gold chains. It was a black youth culture, once criminalized. Once when you wear those, you are being suspicious. You are wearing a gang style. But now fashion house profit from it. Black pain made global styles, and the world want the style without acknowledging the struggle. Even the food, even the education, name all of them, the museums. So this is not about hating others, but it's about just loving the truth. It's about just loving the truth. We are exposing the system, but we are not exposing the individuals. Okay? So, and I know black people ain't asking for apology. No. Black people, what they want, they are just demanding acknowledgement, respect, ownership, and unity. Because imitation without cognition is not flattery. It is extraction. And Marcus Garvey told us that people without knowledge of their history are like trees without roots. But right now, black people are rotting. We are remembering. We are rebuilding. We are reclaiming. And this time, we do it together worldwide. The unity of black people is the key of everything. Okay? Is the key of everything. Now, the world does not simply like black culture. No. The world studies it right now. They watches it. They mines it. They copies it. They analyze it. And they monetize it. And we, as black people, are the cultural heartbeat of modern planet. Because when you see our music, it directs global sound. The dance only, when you go on TikTok, they are trending. Black dances are trending. The fashion influence global styles. The speech of Malcolm X, speech of Martin Luther King Jr., it is shaping global language. Our resistance shapes global justice movement, and our spiritual influence global consciousness. And if you allow me to say, black people are not just part of the culture, the culture, but black people are the culture themselves. Black people are the culture architects. Franz Fanon wrote, what matters is not to know the world, but what matters is to change the world. And black people change the world naturally. Not through force, not through guns, not through army, but through frequency. It is influence without army. Or let me say, it is power without throne. Okay? And that, it is terrifying those who rely on power systems that was built on force and not in vibration. And when you copy something that is done by someone, you cannot do it exactly as he does himself. You can't. And that's why when you see the white people dancing, they don't dance to the rhythm because they just copy the dance, but they cannot dance from heart. Because what we do as black people, when we sing, we are singing our story. I cannot come here and sing of a story of someone and then I call it good music, my music. Because if I come here and start singing that David came with a panga home and then blah, 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 that's not my story. But if I sit here and start to sing about Kenyan beast is changing Africa, is changing the world, I'm singing what I'm trying to do, so I will remove it from the deepest part of my heart, from the inner soul of my heart. So black people were singing, creating music, creating fashion from the pain they were going through. And that's why it touches the soul. That's why it was so deep. Okay? Now, let me speak about metaphysics and history together, because blackness is not just a race, but blackness, it is the original human frequency. From Africa, it came first human. From Africa, it came first language. From Africa, it came first science, first spirituality, first rhythm, and first civilization. So when you are the original, you don't have to compete. You radiate. Okay? And others, they imitate to keep up. So the world does not just copy black culture. The world absorbs original energy to feel vibe, to feel whole. But absorbing is not the same as respecting. Okay? They want the fruit, but not the soil. They want the gold, but they don't want a mine. They don't want the mine. It is too dirty. They want the drum beats, but they don't want the drama. Why do they fear black culture? Why fear black culture? It's because black power is organic, not artificial. White supremacy is constructed. Laws, propaganda, institutions, violence. Black influence, on the other hand, is innate. When you check the style, creativity, rhythm, intelligence, innovation, soul. Okay? One system is forced, that is white supremacy, and one system is natural, that is black people. And anything natural can be fully controlled. Cannot be fully controlled, not can. Anything natural cannot be fully controlled, only imitated or suppressed. As Malcolm X said, you can't stop the sun from shining. Okay? Now, let me say this. They go on loving a black culture, black what, blah, blah, blah. But one time, what they did, they were criminalizing what we are trying to do. And to my black brothers and sisters, I will say this. You just have to stand tall, walk proud, love your skin, love yourself, love your hair, love your voice, love your tribe, love your continent, love your diaspora brothers and sisters, because we do not ask permission to exist beautifully, but we are beauty. We are beauty ourselves. We do not ask permission to lead. We are leaders. We are destined to lead. Okay? We are sunborn. We do not ask permission to shine. So, when they dance from our rhythm, may they knew just this, it came from warriors. It came from struggle. It came from blood and brilliance. Okay? And by us loving ourselves and maintaining our unity and everything, it shows how much this, what we are speaking, is truth. Because we cannot be saying we created this, we created that, and yet we are not united. And yet black people are distancing themselves from Africa, yet black people are distancing themselves from each other. We need to stand tall and defend what is ours. We don't need permission to do that. And unity is the key of everything. First, love yourself. I always say that. Loving yourself speaks a lot of volumes. When you love your music, when you love your poets that you have created, it will be loved by anyone. So our music, our everything was loved by the world because our ancestors first loved it, because it was the only thing that was keeping them alive. It was the only thing that was showing them the escape plan. So just as a black person, love yourself, don't hate yourself. All the things they say about black people is just stereotypes. Okay? But we know the truth right now. We are writing our own story and everything is gonna be well. Now tell me what you think on the comment section. Okay? Until next episode, peace out.